what I would like to do, I appreciate Kaylee for reading the scriptures, but if you don't mind, I would love to read them again because I like the NIV version, New International Version, that will highlight a few points. And I want to read from the NIV. You guys can see that this is what it says. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers from his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day he sent them into his vineyard. About 9 in the morning went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, you also go, work in the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. He went out again about noon and about 3 in the afternoon and did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went and asked, why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing? Because no one has hired us, they answered. He said to them, you also go and work in my vineyard. When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, call all the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first. The workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came and each received a denarius. So when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. But each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. This is who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us and have borne the burden of the work of the heat of the day. But he answered, one of them, I am not being unfair to you. Friend, didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the one who has hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last. As we examine the teachings of Jesus, this kind of ties in because I know the pastor is looking for a date for us to go out and do some evangelism and all that, because it's time about the workers in the vineyard. So we got a bunch of Saturdays that I don't referee until next year, so it's open for a discussion where we can pick a date and we can go out in preparation of Christmas giving. So, but in here, Jesus is trying to press on his disciples and learn what and give them the understanding that that they live by a different set of rules than the world. He was basically trying to tell his disciples, your behavior should be different from those who do not know the Lord. Facts. This is a hard principle to live by. It's hard being a disciple because the world says, if you care for me, the world says, if you come for me, I'm going to come for you. But the kingdom says, pray for them that are despiteful who use you. The world says you have degrees on your wall, you have excellent words on your resume, wealth and possessions. But the kingdom says in order to be great, you would have to be a servant. The world says me, myself, and I. Kingdom says anyone that comes after Christ must lay down his life, take up his cross, and follow Jesus. Those principles are often contradictory to the world's principles in which we live in. So Jesus takes and presses this principle in which it's hard to take at face value. Uh, Oftentimes, Jesus, he uses parables in order to get his point across. So Jesus uses this parable to try to break the story down. And the story goes a little something like this. In Matthew chapter 20, has been a pressing principle that causes a question which he answers, which with a parable. In order to understand Matthew chapter 20, we must rewind back to Matthew chapter 19. Context is very important in this matter. So in chapter 19, it was a young, and I'm going to paraphrase the story. It was a young brother who was well off and wealthy, and he submitted an application to follow Jesus. So he gets an interview, and in the interview, he asks Jesus the question, what are the requirements of being a disciple? Jesus said, here's the law that you must obey. Honor thy mother and father and love your neighbor. So the rich young ruler says, I have done that, and that's on my resume. I have been doing that since the day I was born. So then Jesus looks back at him and says, I have one more requirement. Since you are wealthy and so well off, I need you to sell everything that you have and give it to the poor. When this happened, the young filthy brother, rich filthy brother, here's the requirement of giving up everything he has, and he withdraws his application. And then tells Jesus, thank you for your time, and then he exits out the door. He is unwilling to give up everything for Jesus. Now, check out Peter and the other disciples. This is what Peter and the other disciples do. This is very important. Peter, and this sets up Matthew chapter 20, what Peter's and the other disciples' response. So Peter and the other disciples who have been watching the interview, and Peter in his mind realizes that I'm not like that brother. I'm not like, he said, Peter basically says that that brother didn't want to give up everything that he had. But Peter said, I gave up everything for Jesus. Peter said, I gave up my family. Peter said, I gave up my fishing business. Peter said, I left my hometown. And Peter basically said, I'm not some Johnny come lately, Jesus. I've been here with you the whole time. I've been with you from jump. I'm a ride or die type of brother. So Peter, knowing that he was giving up everything, and after seeing a brother who did not want to give up anything, raises his hand and asks Jesus this question. He said, I have one question, Jesus. What do we get for everything that we have given up for you? We've been with you since day one. We have given up family. We have been doing everything that you asked of us to do. Surely, greatness is ours. We are not like that brother who did not give up anything. Peter asked God, what is our reward? So this sets up Matthew chapter 20. So Jesus says, Peter, that ain't how it works. So center point, that ain't how it works. So I'm going to tell you how it works. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Jesus understands that Peter's did not get like some of us get and do not get it. So this is what Jesus says. Let me break it down into a story. And Jesus tells the story that goes a little something like this. There's a landowner that one day he needs workers in his vineyards to take care of it. And as the custom in that day was, they would go, so he goes down where the day laborers are. Those workers are hopeful that they will be chosen so that they can earn a denarius and day's wages. Now, so I don't know if you guys remember this, brother. I remember back in San Antonio, there used to be a place, I forgot what, I think it was on Rigsby Avenue. You know what Rigsby Avenue is? Brother King, no, I don't think he understands. But it used to be a little shop. You stop and go. That was the name of the store. And it used to be a bunch of day laborers that used to hang out early in the morning. So if you needed some day laborers for that particular day, all you do is just go by, stop and go, and find a couple of workers to get. So that kind of reminded me of telling that story. And I think they have it here in Dallas somewhere. I don't know where it is. Cooper?
Cooper Street's a bunch of day laborers out there.
Wow. Still going on to this very day. So imagine that scenario right there off of Cooper. That you needed some day laborers, so they went to Cooper. They got this landowner who went to Cooper to pick up some day laborers. So this is what he told those day laborers at Cooper. So maybe we can put some food on the table. These brothers do not have any contract. They filed no taxes. They got up early in the morning hoping someone will choose them. Like I said, you see them some of them see them at Home Depot, but we've established that we see them at Cooper. And it was a plan for them to get a day's wages. All right. So looking for somebody to give them a chance. So the master showed up at 6 o'clock. So 6 a.m. in the morning, the master shows up and he finds a handful of them and he basically tells them, listen, if you go to work for me a day, 12 hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I will pay you a day's wages. I will give you 1 denarius. They all agreed. So he found some workers. They all agreed to work 12 hours, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And he said, I'll give you a day's wage. They were like, okay. They all agreed. They said, cool. So they all started to work at 6 a.m. So at 9 a.m., the owner goes back to Cooper and to the day laborer's place. And he finds some more brothers hanging out looking for work. So why won't you guys come work for me? And I will pay you what is right. You notice he says, I will pay you what is right. He didn't tell them how much he was going to pay them. He told them, I will pay you what is right. And he goes back at noon and finds some more. He goes back at 3 p.m. and finds some more workers. And he goes back at 5 p.m. with 1 hour left in the day. He finds some more brothers that on the Cooper Street corner, and he asks them, why are you still standing here? Now imagine that. They're looking for a day's work, and they still standing there, because you eventually, I know if I didn't get picked about noon, I'm out. Ain't another 6 hours left. I'm out. These brothers are still out there at 5 p.m. with 1 hour left in the day, still standing there waiting to get picked for somebody to pick them so they can earn some type of wages for the day. Their response is, no one has chosen us. Nobody thought we were worthy. So the master said, come, go work for me, and I will pay you. Notice once again, I will pay you what is right. On the vineyard, you have the 6 a.m. crowd, you have the 9 a.m. crowd, you have the noon crowd, you have the 3 p.m. crowd, and you have the 5 p.m. crowd. Have I lost you yet? We got all the parties there that's on the scene. Everybody is working. The bell rings. 6 p.m. The owner tells his foreman, gather everybody together and pay them what is right. But but this is what the owner said. But start with the last and make your way to the first. I always wondered why did he say start with the last? Because I'm just thinking about I would have paid the guys that started working and sent them on their way and then went on. But he started from the last and paid them first. So it says he started with the 5 p.m. crowd. Then he went to the 3 p.m. crowd, then the noon crowd, then the 9 a.m. crowd, and last, the 6 a.m. crowd, the one who has begun that worked the longest. The 5 p.m. crowd steps up, and to their surprise, they are given a denarius. They got a full day's wages. That crowd began working for 1 hour. They hadn't built up any sweat. They hadn't developed any calluses on their hands, and they didn't even stink at that particular time. But 1 hour, they actually worked. When the 6 a.m. crowd sees this, I want y'all to imagine this. The 6 a.m. crowd sees this fuss. They didn't fuss or do anything like that. They start to do like Peter did. They begin to think in their mind, well, if the 5 p.m. crowd got a denarius wages, after everything we've done all day, and we worked for and performed 12 hours worth of work in the heat, they begin to start telling themselves, it's bonus time. It's bonus time. You would think that. Now, he gave them a denarius, a whole full wages. I've been out, and they were only out there 1 hour. I've been out here all 12 hours. And he paid them a bonus time. I mean, he paid them a 4 day's wages. I know I'm going to get a little extra. I made 1 hour. Let me start doing this math. He gave them, I should get about 12. Well, at least half of that. 6, would you be asking for thinking that you could get about 6 or 5? So I know I would be thinking that, but I'm not as holy as some of you guys out there in regards to that. But they step up and they get paid. And check this out. And to their dismay and their displeasure and their disgust, they are given 1 denarius. Somebody say 1 denarius.
1 denarius.
And all hell break loose. They are given 1 denarius. So this is what they did. This is the beauty of it. This is what they went. They went to HR. They went to file a complaint at the EEOC. They went to the Department of Labor. They formed a union, and they went on strike.
Yeah.
They began to picket the landowner for this unfair wage treatment because this ain't fair. No way. We worked all day long, and these jokers who work 1 hour gets everything that we got. That's not fair. There are some of you who are, like I said, a little bit holier than I am, but, I'm kind of with these brothers here. I've been working and slaving all day, and I'm telling them, I want to argue with the landowner. This ain't right, man. I have I don't know if the kids remember, I have an uncle that's his favorite saying when he sees the kids when they go back. This ain't right. This ain't right. Uncle Godfrey used to say that. So this ain't right. And with the 6 o'clock crowd, God ain't fair. That's not fair. We are raised to have a distraction, awareness when things are not fair. If you are raised with siblings, you know when things are not fair. I sent my wife a picture. How on Facebook, they had that 6-year anniversary that popped up. They sent some pictures of 6 years, something like that. So there was some pictures that popped up of Brian. She was in a soccer tournament doing at Duncanville. And we had a couple of pictures of Ryan on there. I think I sent them to Ryan, and Ryan had a little purple outfit. She had two little buckshot. She looked like Lord. You know, we were like, is this our child? But my wife basically made the comment when we were talking later. She basically said, you know my wife. She basically said that Ryan being the youngest, and I'm sorry, Miss Ruby, but hopefully this ain't the case, Miss Ruby. But this is how it is. But this is the case that was basically made. That Ryan being the youngest, and you know, Kaylee and Ryan are about 2 years apart, and so we still had clothes from Brand, so that's about a 40. So basically, my wife basically said, Ryan, that's not fair. Ryan had to wear all the hand-me-downs from Brand, because some of the stuff went from Brand to Kaylee, and then whatever Kaylee couldn't wear, Ryan had, and then my sweet little Ryan. She didn't know. She was happy that she got the clothes. As a matter of fact, she used to tell the story that, you know, Berta used to go shopping at Ross. Yeah, I'm going to tell you. She used to go shopping at Ross all the time. So basically, any clothes that Gabby, she still had clothes that had tags on that was in Gabby's closet that Gabby outgrew. So Ryan was happy sometimes when Ryan used to go over to Gabby's closet and get all these clothes that Gabby couldn't wear anymore. So she's thinking it's new clothes. But my wife basically said, that's not fair. That Ryan had to get hand-me-downs all this time. I'm like, Ryan didn't know what it was. She was happy that she had some clothes. So, you know, she was trying to make it up this Christmas saying that we gonna give that baby some more clothes, and she always had them. I'm like, them days are over. That was 6 years ago. You know, we have an expectation of equality. We want a playing field to be level. And I live by a rule, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. I expect my good to be rewarded, and I expect your evil to be punished. And when you are intimately aware when the playing field is not level, I do not like it when things are not fair, especially when I am dealing with God. Have you ever experienced God is being a little unfair? Now, I'm going to be truthful about it. Have you ever experienced when God is being just not a little unfair? I know you don't want to admit, y'all want to sit there all quiet, don't want to raise your hand up and answer the question.
Amen.
But you want everyone to know that, like you said, that you're a Holy Ghost filled, but I must admit that I sometimes, where I have complained to God, that ain't fair. I am trying to do the right thing. I'm coming up short all the time. That ain't fair. I tithe, I do what I'm asked, I say my prayers. That ain't fair. That's not the agreement that we had. I come to church every Sunday when I can, and I still don't get the job. That ain't fair. Lord, I'm trying to do the right thing by some folk. I don't even like them. Did you ever want to tell God that ain't fair? Only to find out that we don't serve a fair God. They're upset because the landowner is not fair. And Jesus is trying to teach and push a lesson to Peter and to his disciples that we do not worship a fair God. And I'm going to hone in on that point later on, that we don't serve a fair God. How are you going to complain and be upset with God that you worship? Here's the problem that the text teaches us, that the 6 a.m. crowd has a fundamental problem. Their first problem is they worked and they saw the 5 p.m. crowd get a denarius, and the Bible says, that's why I wanted to read the NIV version, the King James version, because they said they expected to receive more. When the 6 a.m. crowd, 6 a.m. crowd saw the 5 p.m. crowd get a full wage, a denarius, they expected to get more. That's what the Bible says. God, you owe me for something that I've been faithful, I've been religious, I've been righteous. You owe me for all that I have done. That is what happens when you starting to get frustrated with God, looking at all the things that you've done in the back of your mind and saying, God, you owe me something. That's the problem with the 6 a.m. crowd. And it may be your problem. They had a sense of entitlement. And that's a dangerous place for a Christian to get in their mindset, a sense of entitlement. Look at what the Master said. Look what Jesus said. Didn't we agree on this at 6 o'clock? When I hired you, I said, you work 12 hours, I'll pay you a denarius, and you said, cool. And they had it. Really, all you did was what you were supposed to do. So they had an agreement, and all they did was what they were supposed to do, and what we agreed upon. There is no extra credit to play for doing what you were supposed to do. It's amazing how kids always want an allowance. I remember my dad used to tell me all the time, you want an allowance for cleaning up your room in my house, and you want me to give you an allowance for taking out the trash, you want me to give you an allowance to wash the car. He said, I'm allowing you to eat in my house, I'm allowing you to drive my car, so I'm not giving you any allowance for something you're supposed to do. God does not owe us because the fact that we came to church, or we showed up at praise team rehearsal, or we taught Sunday school, or you are supposed to come to church. You're supposed to sing God's praises. You're supposed to spread His word. God did not owe us anything for doing what we're required to do as Christians. A Christian who believes that God owes him something is like a dad who says, I take care of my kids. You heard these brothers talking about, I take care of my kids and all that. Nobody's going to clap for the fact of the matter that you take care of your kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You're supposed to go to worship. You're supposed to pray. You're supposed to tithe. You're supposed to trust God. You're supposed to forgive. You're supposed to be kind. That is all what we signed up for as Christian disciples. It is a dangerous place to get to the point that God owes us something when the parable teaches us that God can never owe you anything because God has given us everything we own. Okay, you don't believe me. Let's give an example of that. I want to tell you the example about kids. I don't know what it is, but I'm the one that take the kids to school every day. I'm like, me and Pastor Pew are the few exceptions where we it must be something about these what are the Dickey girls or something that we got to take. No, I'm just little side though. But I want to give you an example about the kids and lunch money. So I take all the kids to school, and it had to do with lunch money. I don't know who forgot their lunch money or something like that, but somebody forgot their lunch money. So, you know, I don't carry cash on me for a reason. And I just don't like carrying cash on me because I just use it on the debit card, so I don't like carrying cash. But I normally take that cash out at the beginning of the week and I normally just give it to them from the beginning. So I don't know if I think I know Ryan and Kaylee had, and I think it's Bryn, because Bryn is, oh Lord, guys, I can't wait to Bryn get a job. Bryn been hitting me up, man. I need her to come home for Christmas break. I'm sending money left and right. Every 5 days I'm sending money. I'm like, Lord, but that's a different story. But Bryn is the one that normally don't either spend her money up or don't have any money. And then, you know, as a father or whatever, you hate the kids going begging somebody and they're not eating and all that. So, you know, my soft heart, here I am. So I basically look in the bag and I tell Kaylee what to run, because I know, especially them two, I give them lunch money, they nibble on something, go get some chips. So at the end of the week, they're going to have an extra $10. And then, you know, I caught on to the game, because now they saving up 10 here, 10 there. So by the end of the week, they got $40 that they got to the side. That's how they say their little stash. And I don't blame them. That's pretty smart. But I know that they got money that I've given them. Now, check this out. So I know that they got money, right? And I gave them the money. They just saved them the money. Great. But check this out. So I asked Ryan, because they fussing in the back. I'm like, listen, guys, I know y'all got money. Give them the money back, so when I get home, I'll replace the money or whatever and make up for it. I know you guys got extra money. Give Bryn some extra money so she can have lunch money for the day. So Ryan, with her gracious heart, she's a sweet one out of, not to say you're not sweet, Katie, but you know, you tend, you know, all right. But Ryan finally gives in, but she reluctantly gives in, and she basically gives the Bryn the $5. So, you know, so Bryn has the $5. So, you know, we driving along and all that. And, you know, I'm doing my usual messing with Gabby on the ride to school every day. So, you know, but suddenly Brian still has, I noticed that Brian still has slight, you know, she still has a little attitude. So I already know what's going on in regards with the problem. So I asked the question to Ryan, I'm like, what's wrong, Ryan? So she tells me that ain't fair, that she had to give up her lunch money to give to Bryn on that. So I already knew it. So this is what I said. My wife ain't gonna like this, but I'll deal with that later. But this is what I had to tell Ryan to give her an understanding. I asked the question, who gave you the lunch money in the beginning? I did. So basically it's my money. So I have a right to give my money to who I want to. And then who basically gave you the car we driving in? Who basically feeds you every day? Who basically provides the clothes that you wearing on your back every day? And who basically provides a roof over your head every day? For all of this concern, you tell it's not fair, it's mine in the first place. So I just had the right to give you that. So therefore, why are you upset and mad for something that is already mine? So this is the example that the 6 a.m. crowd was experienced because it wasn't theirs in the first place. It all belonged to the owner, to the master. He has the right to do whatever he wants to do with his money. So when the owner sees that they are wrestling with the entitlement, the owner matches their entitlement with his sovereignty. So that the owner can't do what I want to do. And you notice it in the text, it basically says that. So the owner basically asks him the question, can't I do what I want to do with my money? Whenever you hear someone uses the phrase, I used to, my dad said it, with my money, know that they're letting everybody around them know that this is my money and I'm going to do whatever I so please with my money. So what you are really saying is that I don't have to do anything with my own money for you. That is what God is pressing upon us. When we feel entitled, God did not have to answer our prayers. He didn't have to wake us up this morning. God didn't even have to put food on our table. God didn't even have to put a roof over our head. But thank God And I am so glad that he did. I am so glad that he woke me up this morning. I am so glad he gave me food on my table. I am so glad that he put a roof over my head. I am so glad that he chose me. And he did what he did not have to do. He didn't have to do it. The second problem the 6 a.m. crowd had was they were comparing themselves to the 5 p.m. crowd. So, Brother Ken, since I've already, you know, we had a very interesting night, me and Brother Ken, because we were hanging out with my mother-in-law. And I hadn't hung out with my mother-in-law in a long time. So, me and my mother-in-law, we have a very, very special relationship. Hey, man. It's very special. I think that was one of the caveats and the bonus thing that when I married my wife, I said, I got a bonus. I got a mother-in-law I love that she's going to look out for me all the time. So, no, I'm just going to tell you no. But we have a very special relationship. So, here we go, Brother Ken. This is, and so I'm already in trouble with my wife. So one of the things that I hate, that I don't like doing throughout the whole course of, me and my wife's marriage, I hate it with a passion. And she knows it bothers me too, because I'm going to say it, I'm already in trouble. I'm not going to say it. They know the gray area, so they go right to that gray area and they stump all in that gray area. And they don't go across that line because they know that they stump it and then they jump back. So my wife goes she know I hate when you compare me to anybody or compare the situation or whatever. And because I tell her all the time, you don't know what's going on over there. You trying to compare this situation. I hate it with a passion. I'm gonna tell you why. I got evidence to prove scripturally that you're not supposed to compare. Here it is. All right, I'm gonna help us brothers right here. Now y'all gotta listen up. This is very important that we can use. Now listen up, brother. You just hey, listen up. There you go. Raise that one hand. She ain't gonna get you. Now check this out. Nothing good comes when you compare yourself to someone else. I'm going to say it again. Nothing good comes from when you compare yourself to someone else. I don't think Lil' Ken heard me again. I'm saying this again, Lil' Ken. Nothing good comes from when you compare yourself to someone else. Watch how demonic this mindset really is. Watch how demonic. I'm going to prove it scripturally. The 6 a.m. crowd is not really upset at the 5 p.m. crowd. They're really not that they got paid. They're not mad that they got paid. They are upset because the 5 p.m. crowd got paid what they got paid. That's what they mad at. They got paid what they got paid. They wasn't mad at the fact that they got paid. They mad at the fact they got the same thing I got. They were comparing what each other as far as pay. It's not that you have, but it's you have what I have. Check this out. Privilege is always threatened